Jersey. 8 a.m. Central. In government class, JR is listening to Jack Fitzmiller talking about the relationship between ideology and economics. It was going to be an interesting class. At least JR hoped. So he turns on the tape recorder and starts taking notes on his laptop. Fitzmiller is yammering on and on about John Kenneth Galbraith and John Maynard Keynes and Karl Marx, etc. Still, JR does his best to take notes. 8:30 a.m. Jack Fitzmiller is talking about his experiences with people and ideology. JR almost wanted to cringe. Jennifer held his hand to calm him down. His experiences in Moscow did not amuse JR at all. 8:35 a.m. Ben Fitzmiller said something uncanny. I know this guy. Very good guy with a two-tone pickup and shotgun. Nice guy. Beats his wife every day. JR cringed. Sharon walked out of the classroom. 8:45 a.m. JR gets fed up and walks out of the classroom and outside Holden Hall. Sharon stops him. You should have stopped him sooner while you were still ahead. JR takes a book out of his bag. I sneak this in to class for times like these. It's called The Duke of Nonconformers. Your tutor told you to you can read that? Yeah, because he knows what type of professor Jack Fitzmiller is. And I'm going to read it for this semester and the next. Well, Dr. Harmon told me that he enrolled you and me in Randy Wild's government class next semester because quite frankly, Fitzmiller is too radical, a liberal, if not communistic. Calvin Harlan told me that Randy Wild is a moderate. I read one of his articles. He voted for Nixon in 68, but he didn't vote for him in 72. He voted for Reagan during the Reagan years and voted for Bush twice. Can't wait to see what he thinks about Clinton, JR said. Unlike Fitzmiller, he doesn't bring his ideology into the classroom. Be that as it may, he's a devout Mormon. So that says something right there. Mormon is a term we don't use anymore. It's now called the members of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. Thank you, JR. 9:25 a.m. JR is in his room reading The Duke of Nonconformers. In this particular session that he's reading, the author is talking about the struggle of a young British boy between his atheist tutor, the father that is in line with the king, and his mother's people, along with his father's brothers and sisters, the rest of the family want him to hold to his Christian roots. JR's intrigued. Okay, 10 a.m. Eastern. Jim's plane arrives in Princeton, and he heads straight to the Chrysler minivan, which would take him to the Hyatt Hotel in Princeton. 12 p.m. Central. Betsy's car stops in front of the Texas Tech entrance of Sneed Hall. She walks toward Gordon Hall, where she knows JR is outside. JR, are you alright? Betsy asks. Mama, what's going on? What are you doing here? I'm here to take you to the Dragon Buffet at South Plains Mall to have breakfast. Get in your car, your grandma's coming with us. In the car, Betsy says she plans on ordering them beef teriyaki, chicken chow mein, and egg rolls. JR just wants the teriyaki and the egg rolls. Egg rolls, that sounds pretty good, Elizabeth, his grandmother, said. "1 p.m. Central. JR is taking his statistics class test in West Hall. He's doing pretty well, except he's bogged down in the formula on degrees of freedom. In Princeton, and at the same time, Jim is on the phone in conference with the Texas Railroad Commission. In the meeting, commissioners decided that Governor Richards was being too hard on the oil industry. Jim made some suggestions in preparation for the annual report. 3:30 p.m. Now 3 p.m. at Princeton University School of Public and International Affairs. Jim is giving a speech on the economic impact on corporations and small business. Some of the students' eyes glazed over because of some of the indoctrination that they had received, but others seemed more interested. 5 p.m. Eastern. In his hotel suite in Princeton, Jim and Claude ordered burgers for room service after coming back from the speech. Tonight, Jim would be attending worship service at the Princeton Baptist Church. 5 p.m. Central. Jim is having dinner with his cousin Joe at the TMC. So, are you still seeing Karen? Joe asked. Yes, I see her tonight at a home group study hosted by this Dr. Michelle, her boss, JR said. Let me guess. Brad's going to be there too. Yeah, of course, JR said. Man, why are you wasting your time? And why is she wasting her time hanging out with a ferret like him? 6:35 p.m. Eastern. Brother James Henslow introduces Jim to the church, where he talks about the Christian foundations in American government. Okay. Then, November 11th. November 11th. 4 4 a.m. JR wakes up from a dream where he dreams that his father is chastising him for going out with Karen Kreider. Waking up, he turns on his radio to KAMY, Christian Family Radio. Stephen Curtis Chapman's song, That's Paradise, was on the radio. And JR was trying to shake the dream. 5 a.m. Eastern. Meanwhile, in Princeton, Jim and Claude arrive at the airport early. The flight doesn't depart until 6:30 a.m. But they wanted to be early. Louisville was the last leg of the trip before returning home for 4 days. And then they would go to Philadelphia, then Raleigh, and then back home before Thanksgiving. 4:40 a.m. Central. JR walks into the dorm living room to study for his Spanish lab today. After Spanish, he was having lunch with Karen Kreider. He loved her dearly, but he realizes that the relationship would have to take time. 6:25 a.m. Eastern. Jim's private jet departs from Princeton, bound for Louisville, Kentucky. He and Claude talk about this last stretch in the trip before heading home for a few days. 5:35 a.m. Central. Meanwhile, JR is in swimming practice alone. He's glad. His next swimming practice would be on Tuesday with Bill Holden. His plan was to have breakfast at Crockett House with Kevin McDonald. And then he would go to one of the study rooms to read The Duke of Nonconformance. 7 a.m. Central. JR is having breakfast at Crockett House with Kevin McDonald. You cut out early before I had a chance to talk to you, Kevin said. Be that as it may, I have a soccer practice at 3 and a game at 5. I wanted to do some swimming practice. Thinking about trying out for the miniature golf team. You would be great at that. It starts in February, and games are played mostly against Lubbock Christian University, Lubbock University College, and Wayland Baptist University, UTPB, and Odessa University College. Yeah, sounds fun, JR said. Have you seen Karen? Today for lunch and tonight, Bible study. Just be careful, JR. You know, if you get snugged, you're welcome at the Wesleyan. Meanwhile, in Louisville, the private jet arrives. They head straight to